Everywhere we look, we see crisis. We've got big developing stories right now in the banking sector that could send reverberations across the world economy. And what will that do to the silver price and gold price? You know we're going to talk about that, but there's so much more. I'm hearing growing numbers of people explaining the recent downdraft in the precious metals prices. Yes, silver, gold, and platinum due to something that went on in China over the last few weeks. We'll talk about that. What is Russia doing that we should be very interested in when it comes to precious metals? We'll get to that. And is the Fed going to pause? Did we get a big message from the San Francisco Fed telling us the Fed is done raising rates? Of course, we got the big jobs number this morning. We're going to talk about that and maybe why we might just laugh when we hear that. But what does that mean for the metals, and what are the metals doing, silver and gold, price-wise right now? Very interesting developments there. Plus, what are the billionaires doing? We always want to pay attention to what the billionaires are doing, and they're doing something very interesting with their money. We're going to talk about all that and how it relates to... Yeah, I know you well enough. You're like me. You're a little bit of a silver bug and a gold bug and maybe a platinum bug. You're a precious metals enthusiast. We're going to talk about how all of that information ties back to the only form of real money in the world, silver and gold, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Thank you for being here. Please give this a thumbs up. I'll only beg you 2 more times, but that's how we get the word out to more people. So thank you. Basement dwellers, big news this morning. Jobs numbers. Another incredible jobs beat by the Biden team, right? Bidenomics is working. You know, I don't know about you, but I think we're similar. And I think we're also similar to silver and gold because it's big news this morning, not just this information, the jobs number that we got from the Bureau of, I don't know, something in statistics. Anyway, but the big news is, how did silver and gold react? They should have been pummeled. Right? That's what happens every time, every month for the last 2 years. Oh, the jobs number's great. Now Biden's creating all these wonderful jobs in the economy. And that would send the price of silver and gold plummeting. And that did happen initially this morning. But baby, they bounced back. I checked right before we joined each other now, and I think silver was up 30 cents. Gold was positive as well. Things are changing, guys. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to us that we have this supposed great jobs number that should absolutely, based on the established narrative in the financial services community, that should have killed the price of silver and gold, but it didn't. No, they're doing okay. I said this a week ago. I said it all this week, and I'll continue to say it to you. You don't have to agree with me. Most people don't a lot of times, but I think we're at a real interesting period in the metals market right now. Between all this crazy price action we had over the last week, right? A day where silver moved 7% in one day. I was talking with the CEO of Silver Elephant Mining yesterday, and we joked. I said, yeah, I think last Friday when silver moved 7% in one day, up $1 and dropped like $1.40 over the course of the day to end like down, who knows what it was down that day. Anyway, I said, we laughed. We were like, yeah, maybe, I guess since silver and gold track inflation, inflation must have dropped 7% in one day. We have craziness. What does that mean, this crazy price behavior? The interesting way that the metals have responded this morning to this idea, and we'll call it nothing but that, an idea that the economy is creating jobs. The economy is doing great. You know, I won't even go. I will tell you this. I've gotten to the point where I used to kind of be, hanging on edge. I don't know if you were that way before these jobs numbers were come out. It's like it didn't even faze me this morning. I'm like, whatever. It's just a bunch of BS because this is what used to make me mad. We're growing together, us basement dwellers. We don't quite get as mad about this as we did. But over the last 2 years, every month they would report these incredible job creation numbers. And then at the end of the report, they would slide in but we revised the previous 2 months numbers down by 80,000 jobs each month, or some big previous month revision, like what we told you last month, which was an awesome jobs number last month. Well, it wasn't so awesome after all. But don't worry about that. Just look at this month. This month is awesome again. And I haven't even looked at does somebody know? Did they do any revisions? Put it in the comments for the other people to see. I'll probably miss it, but I'm sure they revised the numbers down. Look, in the long run, guys, the U.S. economy is in big crisis and trouble. The world economy is facing major challenges. We've got a lot more to talk about during this live stream, including what's going on with a major bank in the UK, which could be the first domino to fall. Thank you, Craig Edmonds, for the super chat. The first domino to fall. Our economy and the UK's economy are very much linked. They're experiencing the same banking issues that we are. Could this big UK bank be the first domino to fall? Let's talk about silver for a second. We always have to have a little chat about our old friend silver. Did you hear Pan American Silver, one of the world's biggest silver producers, had to stop mining operations at one of their big Mexican mines because it was robbed? Now, take a step back and think about silver. You know the whole story, the exploding demand for silver. You know the whole story. The BS price manipulation at the COMEX, and in particular, the BS price manipulation over the last few weeks. Yes, you know the story regarding the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange, which are actually based on physical metal, not 250 to 1 leverage like here in the United States. Physical metal over in Shanghai, in China, the price of silver tends to be a lot higher. You know that whole story. But what about Mexico that produces 30% of the world's gold? That means go get your stack of silver, get 10 of your silver rounds, 10 of your 1-ounce silver bars, whatever you get 10 of them. And then take 3 of them off that stack and hold it in your right hand. That's the amount of that silver that came from Mexico. Mexico produces 30% of the world's silver, but what does that have to do with anything? Ron, you might be asking. Who cares? We know that statistic. That has to do with everything, because it dawned on me this morning. Mexico is providing all that silver, and Mexico is becoming increasingly confrontational with the United States, but that's not even the story. The story is, from a jurisdictional perspective and their ability to continue to produce more silver, their government is becoming very anti-mining. Okay, their government. We got 3 things to cover. Their government is making it very difficult for miners to operate in Mexico, to explore for silver in Mexico, to get permits to build mines. The government environment there is absolutely horrific. Anyone will tell you that. And remember, they're the ones that provide a big share of the silver and will provide a big share of the silver as we go into this future where silver demand is everybody. I don't hear anybody saying that the demand for silver is going to go down, but the output, the production is going down, and the situation in Mexico will only exaggerate that problem, but it gets even worse. We got 2 more things. There's big social problems in Mexico right now when it comes to silver, right? The miners going on strike. People get, major social issues, mines being shut down because miners are going on strike, demanding that they get more profit sharing. So you got the government at the top making it hard for Mexico to provide silver. You've got the people making it difficult. Not all of them. I love Mexican people. I'm not mad. They want their fair share. That's great. The third thing to top it all off as well is now you have armed bandits going into these mines with, I'm sure, machine guns or something, right? And stealing the silver. That's what happened at Pan American. They went in and stole the silver concentrate. So when we think about silver, $20 an ounce silver, are you kidding me? Nobody's making money at $20 an ounce silver. It's not going to last. We're having decreasing production under the best of circumstances, but you factor in what's going on in Mexico, the production's even being more constrained. Newmont, one of the world's biggest miners, just shut a mine down in Mexico, right? Suspended operations. I think that was over social issues. We've got contracting output of silver when at the same time we've got increased demand and nobody's exploring for silver. Nobody's developing. Very few companies. You can hold them in one hand. How many pure silver companies do you know? Silver Elephant is one of them. First Majestic, Keith Neumeyer. There's a few silver companies, but not that many. Okay? So we've got to bear this in mind as we look at the future of silver. It looks bright. It looks very reflective. It looks good. Thank you guys for being here, all 400 of you. What about, are you wondering what caused the major downdraft in the gold price and the silver price? There's a theory being floated around that I want to share with you that I've now heard from multiple sources, okay? Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. And it has to do with Chinese holiday. Oh, I got to ring the bell. Hold on a second. We got 100 thumbs up. Couple bonus rings because it's Friday. All right. Bear with me here, guys. You know, me and technology, you might be like me. It's not always easy. Boom. Okay. All right, hold on a second. Where was it? All right, here we go. Let me read this to you. This came from my friend Luke over in Holland. Okay, this is from overseas. And it's a letter that he gets, and it's very interesting about what went on with China and the precious metals prices over the last few weeks. And I also heard of John Lee talked about this with me yesterday. Let me just read this to you. It is not the first time that precious metal prices have been pushed down during the Chinese Golden Week. Isn't that ironic? They call it Golden Week. It's like their holiday over there. And while they're on holiday during Golden Week, what's the COMEX do in the LBMA? They crush gold. Anyway, this author says, I've written about it several times in recent years. In 2018, he said, quote, this week is the Golden Week in China, a 7-day period in which the Chinese celebrate. And the COMEX and the LBMA smashed the price of gold and silver. That was my commentary. The gold market will then have to make do without the Chinese buyers. And this is immediately noticeable in the trading volumes. Usually it's also a good time to push the gold market lower because all the Chinese traders are out on vacation, on holiday. And quantitatively, you can see this in the volumes of the amount of gold being traded. And when they're gone, what are those sneaky... I'm sorry, we know the guys at the COMEX and the LBMA, they're the utmost ethical, nice, good people, right? No. When the Chinese are gone, they smash the price of gold. Happened in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17. This was written in 2018. The violence used to push the prices lower is suspicious. I've been writing for a while now that central banks will sooner or later have to intervene in the financial markets, and usually the gold price is suppressed just before such an intervention. That's key to remember. They push down the gold price, the silver price, just before the Fed has to intervene in the market. And what we're going to talk about here in a little bit about the banks and this big UK bank is evidence that we're nearing that point, potentially. And that could be absolutely what's going on, okay? Could it be what is going on here? Is the Federal Reserve making plans to support the bond market? That would mean a huge boost in the commodity markets. That would mean rocket fuel for the price of gold and silver, don't you know? They push down gold and silver because they know that they're going to soon need to intervene. And when they intervene, since they already pushed it down, that helps buffer how high silver and gold and other commodities, look at oil lately, will go. Okay? Good. Is the Federal Reserve making plans? Okay, that would mean, okay, from that perspective, it probably seems logical to lower prices a bit and thus dampen, that's the word he used, dampen the effect. Buy your precious metals. Now, this is from Martin Verheuen. I believe he's like a Dutch analyst that sends out this awesome free newsletter. And thank you to our friend Luke in Holland for sharing this with us. So that's the big picture. The Chinese are going on holiday, so they're not buying silver, they're not buying gold. So what do the guys at the COMEX and the LBMA decide to do? Well, it's time to do a waterfall crush of the silver price and the gold price. Does that make sense? That's a theory that's going around by some pretty smart people right now. Very interesting. Let's see. While we're at this point, let's say, guys, we got a big giveaway coming up on Black Friday. The Ron's Basement Black Friday giveaway. I'm super excited. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to show you the box right now of so far what we have to give away. And we received some big donations yesterday from Jim McDaniel. I don't know if he's on here or not. Unbelievable generosity from Jim. He also sent some things that we're going to send off to Coin Shop Chris. I'm going to show you that later on in the video as well. But for right now, I want to show you what we have in the box, the silver box, right now for the giveaway. So hold on just 1 second. Let me grab the box. And don't worry, we got a big banking crisis to talk about. Uh-oh, I just heard it all shift. Uh-oh. Well, this is going to be hard. Can you see that? Can you see all that in there, guys? We have some gold backs. We have a bag of silver here. Let me just show you real quick. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. I just want to show you what we've got. We've got here, Jim sent us 5. Yes, 5. There's 5 there. Beautiful silver rounds, okay? And a silver bar, a 1-ounce bar. That's going to be given away. This is all one big grand prize. I'm going to throw in a lot more, but for now, this was just sitting here. You've seen it on the show many times, the Kruger Ant. We got a bag of silver, really nice stuff from Coin Shop Chris, okay? Look at all this. Bunch of like pre-1965 quarters, half dollars. And we're going to have a bunch of these to give away, I'm told. Gold backs are going to be included. And we're going to get something from Pimbex, and we're going to get some stuff from Weber, I'm sure. But for now, I'm just going to put that in there. Buffalo Trace. It's like whiskey-infused seasoning. You can get that at Sam's, and it is awesome. So I just wanted to share that with you. Oh, and we also have... We're going to have some more stuff as well, but a brand new, with the tags on it, First Mining Gold Adidas hat, and I'll clean it off. It's got a little dusty down here in the basement, okay? And let's just do this now. This is the box we're sending to Coin Shop Chris today. You guys all know Chris. I'll show you really quickly. Jim McDaniel sent Chris these 2 beautiful proof American Silver Eagles. There's 2 of them. And there's also this for Coin Shop Chris. there's a wallet in there from our friend Richard Cooper in the UK that I was supposed to send to Chris like 2 months ago, full of coins. We're also giving Chris this. That's the RV that we're going to travel around the country in when silver hits $85 per ounce, and we'll come visit you. Don't forget, we're going all over the place. We're giving Chris 2 Super Balls that came out of my private collection, Christmas color theme for the holidays. We're giving Chris a Ron's Basement sticker and a limited edition signed, this is 2 of 8, my senior year in high school report card. All right, let's get back to the meat of the matter here, guys. We got a lot to talk about. And I'm going to need something to like fill the gaps in that box, so I'm going to smush ding-dongs in there. Okay, so everything is going crazy right now. Let's talk about this banking crisis. There's a bank in the UK that appears to be going bust. All right, this looks a lot like what happened here in the United States when we had the banking crisis back in March and April. This is kind of breaking news, so I want to give you what I know. But guys, here's what's going to happen. We're going to have a banking crisis. And you think, well, what's the big deal about that? What's the big deal if we have more banking problems? That's going to be the time when the silver price and gold price really take off. And I'll explain to you why, but let's get through this information, the latest that we have. Richard Cooper initially alerted me of this. It's called Metro Bank in the United Kingdom. It's imploding, okay? It's down 98%. Its stock value is down 98% from 2016. That means if you owned $100,000 worth of the stock just 7 years ago, congratulations, now you own, instead of $100,000, $2,000. It's crashing, okay? This is a big bank. Fitch came out yesterday and downgraded this bank. Oh, a day before it collapsed, all right? Are people going to start pulling their money out? And what's the problem here? The problem with this bank is the same problem that a lot of U.S. banks have as well. Their bond portfolio is down. They've got this bank in the UK, Metro Bank, is trying to sell a third of their mortgage portfolio. They need cash. The banks need cash, but they can't sell anything they own because it's worth, a fraction. Well, not a fraction. It's worth, but it's a lot of the assets they own, whether it's commercial real estate or mortgages or money that is all down 20, 30, 40%. I got an article this morning. I need to read it more in depth, but it basically talked about how in the United States, we have had a crash in the bond market, guys, an absolute crash. Long-term bonds, a lot of these long-term bonds that people bought just 2-3 years ago, like in 2020, when interest rates were at 0.5%, we're talking treasury bonds. A lot of them are down almost 50% in value. That means you bought that bond. Let's say you put $100,000 in just 3 years ago, a bond. Right? The safest thing in the world. You're not supposed to worry. It's worth right now, if you want to sell it before it matures, you're only going to get 50 cents on the dollar, 60 cents on the dollar. This is real. And this is going on right now. And the same scenario that we had back in the 07, 08 timeframe, where the banks, and you can see it first in the price of the bank stocks. The bank stocks are going down, 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 down. Citibank, Bank of America, U.S. Bank. Look at a chart. All those stocks are going down, down, down. That's the first. What? Moo moo. Oh, okay. I got to ring the cowbell. I will in a second. Thanks for distracting me. I'm supposed to stay on track, but then I get distracted by her yelling at me from down upstairs. Anyway, the first sign is the stocks go down. Okay, the Fed is not going to let the banks go down. They aren't, okay? And this happened in 07 and 08. The Fed started lowering rates way before the big official crisis hit, and that's going to happen again. Remember, silver and gold are the oldest and wisest markets in the world. It's true. Think about it. What's been traded for a longer period of time in this world besides silver and gold? Nothing. Oil's relatively recent. Grains, I guess it could be another old one, but what's oldest are silver and gold. They're the oldest and the wisest. I got to ring the cowbell. We got 200 thumbs up. Thank you, guys. And I haven't begged you for a while. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. It helps the channel, and it helps my mental state as well to know that the number of people subscribing is going up. It would be greatly appreciated. Now I'm going to ring the cowbell very loud. There we go. 200 thumbs up. We're almost to 300 thumbs up. But the big picture here, the thing that we have to put together, there's so many moving parts right now, are that the banks are in trouble. The banks don't have the money. Okay, people gave their money to the banks 3-4 years ago. The banks made what are now appearing to be very bad investments. They bought bonds. They loaned your money out on commercial real estate. Both that commercial real estate and those bonds are now worth much less. So if everybody ran to the banks, and I'm not trying to create a panic, but if everybody ran to the banks and wanted their money, the bank would be like, we don't have it. And the only thing that can be done to save that is money printing. Okay, and it's happening right now in the UK. This Metro Bank is a prime example. Is it the canary in the coal mine? Is it like the housewives buying gold from Costco? Is it a sign of what's going to come? Rates are higher now than back in March and April. That means the bonds are even worth even less. I just read the other day that the banks are experiencing even more unrealized losses just in this last quarter, like another 160 billion. So it is real, guys. It is going on. And again, what it means for silver and gold, that whole banking voucher system, whatever you want to call it, however you want to refer to it, right? It's all make-believe. It all now relies upon more and more printing of money. Printed money going into the system, and that's the only thing they're going to be able to do to save it, or they're just going to let it crash. And either way, how are you going to fare as a silver and gold investor? Either way, you're going to fare just well, okay? This is a big bank, 50 billion in assets, 15 billion pounds in deposits. Okay, the banks don't have the money, and they all have these big unrealized. Well, we don't know about the banking crisis because the banks don't have to tell us. They get to hide all these losses on their books. They're called unrealized losses. You know what it's called? Look, I have a degree in accounting. I don't like to come out and brag about my financial background, and I'm not saying I'm any guru or anything else, but I did study in depth money and accounting, and I understand how it works. And I'm going to tell you something right now. It's Disneyland accounting. Right? It's unicorn fart dust accounting that these banks are doing because they're holding all these assets that are worth much, much less than what they're reporting to the public, because unless they think they might have to sell them, right, they don't have to report them. They can just keep them as held to maturity. They're going to hold it to maturity. They're going to hold that bond. And we're going to move on to some other more we're going to talk about Russia next, and we got to talk about the billionaires. We got a lot more to talk about, but these banks are going to hold these bonds, right, for the next 30 years is what they claim. I don't think so. If everybody shows up and wants their money, the reality is right now they don't have it. And that's not, I'm sure the Federal Reserve doesn't like me saying that, but it's the truth. It's the absolute truth, and people need and deserve to hear the truth and to protect themselves throughout all this.
Ron,
yeah, Susie.
Explain to everyone how to do the giveaway.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, Susie just came down. I got Susie yelling at me. Coin Shop Chris sending me text. I tell you what, I'm getting hit with virtual ding-dongs. And I deserve it. And I appreciate everybody, Susie. I appreciate Coin Shop Chris. I appreciate all the moderators. I appreciate you for being here right now. The giveaway will be on Black Friday. I'm sorry I failed to tell you how to enter the giveaway because you can't. How do you like that? It's a Ron's Basement giveaway. You just can't enter it. Thank you, Jesse, for the super chat. No, on October 22nd, which is a Sunday, if my memory serves correctly, I will release a video called The Giveaway Video. And there'll be a link to it in the description of any video I put out, right? That'll give you a whole month. You'll go to that video and hopefully watch it. But anyway, what you really need to do is leave a comment on the giveaway video. But the giveaway video won't be released until October 22nd. And during that video, we're going to have a lot more stuff in the box. So I'm going to show everything that's in the giveaway, say who the sponsors are that contributed things. And again, on that video, then you'll just leave a comment and you'll be automatically entered. There's only one entry per person. And if you try to enter more than once, you're not going to be able to because we have a software program that eliminates duplicate entries. Can you believe that Jobs number this morning? What a joke! Is our silver and gold up? Can somebody tell me right now in the comments? Okay, are silver and gold up or down? Up or down? I'm watching. Ricky's House of Crap says yes. I guess that means they're up, Ricky. Right? Up, up. No cheating. No cheating. Yeah, people don't cheat. You know, I'll tell you what about people. Let me tell you, this I think is a great reflection on you, okay? I was talking to Adam Van from Alpine Gold Exchange last night, and that's where we're going to get some gold backs donated to us. And I told him about my process, how I do giveaways with the video, and you leave a comment, and then that person, and I draw it live. You can watch it. It's on my laptop, and I hold it up and dislocate my shoulder. Anyway, I said, then the person who wins has to send me an email, and I send them a code back. I said, just to make sure that nobody tries to claim the prize that didn't win it. And I said, but that didn't. He said, isn't that great that like you can like nobody tried to cheat? And I said, yeah. I said, and that's a reflection on people in general, but in particular, the good people that are basement dwellers here in Ron's basement. That's us. That's you, you know? We're not cheaters. We're good people. Absolutely. Wow, up 46. Up, up, up. That is awesome. Okay, so what news do we have about Russia? We know the whole BRICS thing. We know what that means. I'm telling you, there's a new markets right now being established for silver, gold, and platinum throughout the world. I was talking to Jim McDaniel last night. That's who it was. And we were talking about China and India, just the ick. India and China, just the ick in BRICS alone. We're not going to talk about Saudi Arabia and the other 6 new countries joining. We're not going to talk about we're just talking about the ick. They've got like 3 billion people. Their population's like 8 times that of the United States alone. They are developing new markets, and they have explicitly said they think the price of silver and gold are too low. What do you think that means? Right? To me, what I think that means is when you have that many people, and then Jim brought up something that I thought I'd never heard, but their militaries, when you combine the number of soldiers in the Indian and Chinese military, when you combine that, their military, number of people in their military is bigger than the entire population of the United States. So to think that those countries and the BRICS aren't a formidable adversary, I think is a big mistake. I think Americans, a lot of us live in a little bubble like, well, we're like the ultimate. No, they are formidable. And what does it mean when we know how they feel about silver and gold? Guys, it's the opposite of what you live with in the West. In the West here, right? You're the black sheep. I'm the black sheep. Over there, if you don't own silver, if you don't own gold, if you show up at a wedding and you don't give a gift of gold, you're the black sheep. Okay? It's a completely different mindset, and at the same time, growing economies, growing middle class, growing interest in silver and gold. Let me have a quick drink of coffee. And now Susie's I got to get some new, Susie, you need to put new batteries in my walkie-talkie. Because you shouldn't have to yell at me. Okay, I got to ring the bell. The last time ever in the history of Ron's Basement, I'm going to do it. 300. Tradition knows. I still can't believe I do that. But anyway, but what do we know about Russia? Let's just briefly touch on what's going on with Russia, because we just talked about India and China. What about Russia? What about the Russians? What are they doing right now with gold? You know, they're in such horrible situation over there. Here we go. This comes from our friend Mark. Thank you, Mark. From Kitco. Russia's finance ministry to spend $4 billion on gold and currencies from October 6th through November 7th. But what's interesting here is there's a kicker, so stay with me. Russia's finance ministry will spend that money on gold between the they announced that on Wednesday. The finance ministry in August restarted the purchases for the first time. They just now are restarting in Russia since the Russian invasion of the Ukraine in February of 2022. The volume of purchases at the time was set to 1.8 billion rubles. But the big news here, okay? The big news, two things when it comes to the world of gold. Russia is restarting their gold purchases, and we got news that central banks throughout the world in the month of September also significantly increased their gold purchases as well. All at a time when in the West, we are barreling towards crisis, banking crisis, with these interest rates where they are. And at the same time, this makes me mad. I don't know how you feel about this. We have elected officials in Washington telling us how great the economy is. We're going to hear it all day today. You know, Joe Biden gloating, I created 300,000 jobs. Let me tell you something, Joe. Yeah, if you want to get some McDonald's delivered to the White House, yeah, right. You created a bunch of DoorDash or whatever they're called jobs, not real jobs, because we know the real jobs are getting cut. High-paying tech jobs getting cut, right? The big jobs are going away. But, you know, since people are we in this? I want to hear your thought on this, because are we moving toward a slave labor economy where people are so desperate for work, right? Credit cards, nobody has any, most people that have overextended themselves on credit cards. Their savings are gone. People are desperate to work. Are we moving towards a two-class system where, sure, you'll have all these people working. Hey, it's great. Have a great time. Work yourself 75 hours a week just so you can make ends meet. It makes no sense what's going on in this country right now. If things are so great, why do people, when they're polled by the Gallup poll and other organizations, say that the economy is like in the tank, and it's like the worst that they've experienced? You know, what's the word? Cognitive dissonance. Like, you know, we're all being told, Americans are all being told one thing, but they're feeling something quite different. Well, sure they are. Because if you're somebody in your late 20s or 30s and you failed to buy a house already, and now you're trying to have a family and buy a house, you can't afford it. You can't afford a mortgage. I mean, this is the reality. Okay, if you're in a house right now, let's say you bought a house for $200,000 4 years ago, and your house payment is, $1,500 a month. Okay, and now you want to buy a little bigger house. Well, guess what? A little bit bigger house now is going to cost you like another $400,000 on top of what you already live in, and so you're going to have a much bigger mortgage balance. And with these higher mortgage rates approaching 8%, you could look at, like, just to get into a house that's maybe another 800 square feet because you're having a family, you might be looking at going from a house payment of $1,500 to $5,000. right? Welcome to the Joe Biden economic miracle. And it's not just his fault. This has been developing for decades, but it's not a good situation. We've been talking about this. Now we're going to use our bedroom voice. We've been talking about what could be very good for the precious metals. An official pivot, an official pause on interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve. Did we hear something yesterday from the San Francisco Fed? I hope you guys can hear me because sometimes I'm yelling too much. I can feel my voice going. Did we hear something from the San Francisco Fed yesterday that we should pay attention to? I think we have. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up. Thank you. Let's read this from Reuters. San Francisco Fed President Mary Daly on Thursday said that the U.S. monetary policy was, quote, well into restrictive territory. Yeah, thank you, Mary, because have you heard, Mary, that port shipments being received in New York and New Jersey are down by 20%? Talk to a trucker. Do you know any truckers? I don't really personally know. I know there's some on our channel. Truckers are hurting. Freight volumes are down 10%. Rail volumes are down. So yes, Mary, we are. A lot of progress towards 2% inflation. In the recent rise in U.S. Treasury yields, the Fed may not, this is the key, listen up, this is what Mary said, the Fed may not need to raise rates anymore. She says, quote, if we continue to see a cooling labor market, well, we didn't see that today, did we? According to the Bureau of Lies and Statistics, and inflation heading back to our target, we can hold interest rates steady and let the effects of policy continue to work. And with the rise in long-term rates in recent weeks, she said, the need for us to take further action is diminished because the financial markets are already moving into that direction and they've done the work. So she's gloating, right? The markets, Mary, maybe the markets are raising the long-term bond rates because nobody wants to hold the U.S. debt. People are not interested in holding long-term U.S. debt. Maybe it's because the Japanese are selling U.S. long-term debt. The Chinese are selling American long-term debt. The Saudis are selling American long-term debt. They talk about this like they're living in this bubble where they can control everything. And the reality is, guys, as these interest rates go higher and higher, it is wreaking more and more havoc within the economy. This whole notion that the jobs market is great and the labor market's great and that's gonna, the Fed can use that. That's only gonna last for so long. And I really feel like we're getting near the end. I feel like, does it make sense to you? I mean, today, what happened this morning, even if gold and silver go down today, okay, which I don't think they will, and I certainly don't hope they will, but the way that the metals markets reacted this morning, they're calling the bluff of the government and the Fed. Do we believe the data the government puts out? I wish we could. I wish I could. Do you believe the data the government puts out? Do you see jobs? Where are all these jobs being created, right? I mean, I'm sorry, but, so as this whole situation gels, it's going to leave no other option but for the Fed to loosen monetary policy. It's their only tool they have left. They aren't going to let the whole system crash. If they do, okay, that would be a first for them to purposely let it crash. And on top of that, people that are holding precious metals will still be okay. It won't be the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. And what are the billionaires doing? I read a great piece last night. What do you think it means when you hear about billionaires selling stock, right? Billionaires selling, right? The smart guys. We got Tim Cook from Apple selling significant amount of his interest in the company, okay? Maybe he sees something that we don't know about. Another Warren Buffett sold a lot of stock recently. Yeah, that Warren Buffett. I'm not the biggest fan, but still, Warren Buffett is a multi-billionaire. He's been selling a lot of stock. What about the Walmart heirs? They've been moving money out of the stock market. They're seeing what's going on out there. We've got a real estate market, a residential real estate market right now in this country that I think is teetering on the edge. I would be very careful, not giving financial advice, but I would be very careful about purchasing or making big real estate moves right now. But Pimbex, if you decide that you want to get a little more silver and gold, I highly recommend you do check out Pimbex. I've worked with them. You know my whole story with them. I actually learned about them from you, people in the community that had worked with and trusted Pimbex, and I had the exact same experience. So if you're looking to add to your silver stack, gold stack, or platinum stack, check out Pimbex. I think Pimbex is best, and I think you will too. But there's more, right? People can't afford their car loans. Big article out yesterday. There's a record number of people who are upside down on their car loans. On their car loans. Yeah, that means they owe more on their car loan than the car is worth. All at a time when these same people have no room left on their credit card and there's record credit card balances and there's record high credit card interest rates. I found it really interesting. Oh, I can't say that word. I found it very thought-provoking when I heard that during the great financial crisis, and you can check me on this, right now, interest rates on credit cards are 20, 25, 30% interest. It's crazy, guys, crazy. If you have a credit card balance, please consider ways to get that down, okay? But compare now, the rates we have now compared to during the 07, 08, and during the 07, 08 crisis, credit card interest rates were more 11, 12, 13%. It's that's highway robbery. 25% interest, it's out of control. And the other really big factor we need to consider about these jobs numbers, right? These great jobs numbers that were reported to us today is if all this AI, artificial intelligence talk is real, isn't that supposed to eliminate a bunch of jobs as well? I don't know, guys. When I look at the big picture right now, as we try to wrap our heads around all of this that's going on, when we look at what's going on with this Metro Bank in the UK, and we know the same thing is simmering here in the United States. It has to be. I mean, what in March and April, the 10-year bond yield got a little over 4% and caused Silicon Valley and First Republic and the 3 of the 4 largest banks in the history of the United States to collapse. And now we're at rates that are 25% higher, right? Approaching 5%. You're going to tell me that we don't have more banks that are in trouble, but you don't hear anything. It's crickets. It sure feels like there might be, for lack of a better way to describe it, a cover-up going on to a certain degree, right? I mean, it doesn't make good sense. And we know that the banks getting in trouble, right? They can't hide the stock price. They can't hide the stock price of Citibank. They can't hide the stock price of US Bank. They can't hide the stock price of Bank of America. And they are going down in a very strong manner, is how we would say it. That's our most, wow, thank you, Jesse, for that super chat, my friend. That's the biggest indicator of what is going on right now. And the key here, the big key to remember is the Fed will step in to save the banks before the Fed will step in to save the economy. And gold, right? The banks tell us what's going on in the economy. Okay, they're kind of a forewarning, but gold tells us what's going on in the banks, and that's the other big factor that I think likely could have contributed to the recent downdraft we had as well. It's going to be interesting. Okay, it's going to be a crazy crazy number of months ahead. And then we have the prospect of digital banking and CBDCs on the horizon. Again, I was talking with the CEO yesterday, okay, and he's convinced. He thinks 2030 is like, it's all going to happen before 2030, which now, guys, is only 6 years, 6.5 years, right? That the CBDC thing, when that occurs, he was absolutely positive that that's going to be super supportive for the precious metals. That when the governments around the world try to put the clamps on to everybody, and there's no more cash, all right, there's no more, that people are going to run to the metals. And it likely, if you think about what will likely unfold here, we're likely going to, the rollout of CBDCs will likely be preceded by some type of crisis, official crisis, right? One that's reported on CNN, and MSNBC and Fox News, right? To get everybody scared. That crisis would also most very likely be very positive for the silver and gold price. And we don't want that to happen. We're not rooting for bad in the world, but we are realists. We do keep our heads pulled out of the sand to give us the best chance that we can have to protect our families. We got to protect ourselves first the best we can. We're no good to anybody if we're not strong and healthy and prepared for what's going on. But to the extent that you are able to do that, you will then be able to help your family, your friends, right? The people around you, if indeed what sure looks like is going to happen does happen. Maybe it won't happen. I mean, I think a lot of us maybe hope it doesn't, right? Because we talk about silver and gold as more of an insurance policy, right? I mean, at minimum, it provides protection. I love, do you love that idea about silver and gold? I think it's one of the coolest things. And I think it can even be said about the precious metals mining stocks right now. It's like, at minimum, can you feel confident that your silver and gold will maintain their value over time, I feel confident of that. But the fun part, the real kicker, that gets us maybe a little excited and optimistic and happy is the fact that we could see serious price appreciation in the price of silver, in the price of gold, in the price of platinum as well. And I'm going to tell you guys, another area where we could see unbelievable potential price appreciation, and I'm not giving financial advice, I'm just telling you what I do, is I own some of the small silver and gold development companies. I own some of the big actual producing companies as well, but one of them is a sponsor of the channel, First Mining Gold. Yeah, they have like 2 5 million ounce projects in Canada. FFMGF is the stock symbol. Check them out if you want to own gold in the ground. The value proposition right now, I heard Peter Grandich talking about it yesterday in one of his podcasts. It's like, it's never been so attractive from a value proposition perspective to be able to buy gold in the ground with companies like First Mining Gold. Go to their website, read about it, see what you think. If you have questions, in the description of all my videos, I have Paul Morris's email. He's their director of investor relations. He can tell you even more. But it's a very good time, I think, to be invested in the metals and even the development stocks. And there's silver development stocks out there. It's a very small community, but man, from the point where we are now with sentiment, with the feeling towards these companies and even the metals, right? We talk about that. Let's review one of the most exciting, besides the fact that silver and gold will maintain their value. Let's review. It's Friday. Let's talk about something happy. One of the most exciting things about the silver and gold market, because the world's richest economy, yes, that would be the United States. Number one, America, right? We're number one. Well, guess where silver, gold, and platinum investing ranks on the level of interest or the level of participation in the richest country in the world? At the bottom. You know that. Nobody cares. Okay, nobody cares. We care, but nobody else cares. What's good about that? What's good about that is if the United States right now were like China, where 90%, or India, where 90% of people somehow are invested in silver, gold, and precious. If America was already like that, what if we went from 90 to 92%, 94%? That's not that big of a deal, right? But think about this. In America now, where maybe 1% or 2% of the people are interested and invested in some type of precious metals investment, if we go that same 2% that we went from 92 to 94%, and we go from 1% to 3%, that's 3 times as much money in the world's richest economy. And and remember how fragile and sensitive these markets are. Okay? It takes very little for all the silver and all the gold, just looking at it from the retail side, to be gone from the bullion dealers. We saw it happen in March and April. So it can happen quickly, and it can happen in an instant. Okay? In the meantime, I'll be here for you. All right? Ups and downs through all of this. Thank you for being in the basement. Thank you to all of the moderators: Annie Oakley, Neil, Susie, Jake's Custom Parts, Coin Shop Chris, of course, and all of you. Have a great Friday, okay? And if I forgot anybody, I apologize. You're all important. You're important. You watching, all of us are important. So take care of yourself. Be nice to yourself, and that'll help you be nice to other people. I promise I'll try that today. You do too. Talk to you soon.